You want a war? You're gonna get one.
Now get the guns, the drugs, to my generation, I'll take the fall. The saints, look off the nation, and it's a sex, the gods, the fakes, the fraud, they're messing with me. Come on, come on, come on, let's get it out. Move to the music, play that fucking music. Live through my music, yeah.
Well, you came back. You came back after Spring Stampede, so you're either super dedicated or you're an absolute maniac. Either way, I love you, and I'm glad you're here for Reliving the War episode 232. We're now at the 17th of April 2000, and we've got Raw coming from University Park, Pennsylvania, while Nitro takes place in Rockford, Illinois. We've got two monstrous openings to both Raw and Nitro this week, so I want to get stuck in right away. Let's skip the formalities and check out another Monday night battle between the WWF and WCW. A WWF Championship match between Chris Jericho and Triple H opens up Raw, while on Nitro, the New Blood celebrate their victories at Spring Stampede. Which one to cover first? Okay, Raw it is. So, why on earth is Chris Jericho getting a WWF title match on Raw? Well, he mistook Stephanie and Tori for the Godfather's hoes on SmackDown, and he then doubled down by calling Steph a
Filthiest, dirtiest, most disgusting, skankiest, brutal, bottom-feeding, trash bag hoe that I have ever seen in my life. Damn, I feel better now.
Makes you wonder why The Rock just didn't do this during the build-up to WrestleMania. So Triple H wants to defend the honor of his wife, and on Raw, Jericho continues calling Stephanie a filthy, dirty, disgusting... Yeah, you get the idea. He apologizes to bargain basement sluts all around the world for comparing them to Stephanie McMahon, because Stephanie's way worse. Hunter marches down to the ring, and Jericho says if Hunter wants to really defend his wife's honor and impress his missus, then he should put the WWF title on the line in this opening match. Triple H agrees, and Jericho then reveals that he's got himself a little insurance policy for this championship bout. Chris paid the Acolytes to watch his back, so Degeneration X shouldn't be a factor here. A flying forearm from Jericho gets followed up with a drop toe hold and a clothesline. The audience is seriously hyped up for this Raw opener, and you guys know as well how fresh this feels after weeks of long McMahon family promos to kick off WWF shows. Hunter gets sent to the outside, but Jericho whiffs a baseball slide. This allows the champ to knock the challenger down, but Triple H has trouble getting back inside the ropes after Chris performs his springboard dropkick. Y2J gets his neck snapped across the top rope, and when the game finally gets in the ring, he pulls off the Harley Race knee. From here, it's complete domination from the champion as Jericho's chances of winning this thing get more and more unlikely. The two go outside where Y2J fails to build a comeback. He takes some damage right in front of Stephanie, who no doubt's really loving this right now. In the ring, Jericho takes a suplex, a knee drop, and a few mounted punches that bust the challenger's mouth open. Hunter then performs a DDT, but he makes the mistake of going upstairs. He blows a kiss to his wife before Jericho arm drags him from the top rope. Jericho builds his comeback with an elbow to Hunter's face, followed by a missile dropkick. He then counters a pedigree and he tries to lock in the walls of Jericho. Chris can't apply the move, so he catapults Hunter instead, and the referee takes a bump. With the ref out, Jericho goes upstairs, but he gets crotched thanks to Shane McMahon. The APA earned their money by chasing Shane away from the ring, and while all this is going on, Stephanie puts the WWF Championship belt into the ring. Triple H goes for it, Jericho stops him. The game takes a belt shot, but we have no referee when Chris makes the cover. Earl Hebner runs down, Hunter manages to kick out, Jericho takes a facebreaker knee smash, and Triple H is seriously annoyed that the senior referee's trying to get involved in his match. He ends up shoving Hebner to the mat, which allows Jericho to hit the champion with a spinning wheel kick. And after Chris performs the lion salt, Earl Hebner counts the 1, 2, 3, meaning we have a new WWF champion on Raw's War, ladies and gents. Chris Jericho has reached the top of the ladder, and God knows what this means for the upcoming Backlash pay-per-view. The reaction in the arena is absolutely insane, and it's such an unexpected turn of events, but Earl Hebner's count did look a little fast. Actually, it looked really fast. What a way to kick off Raw though, and the complaints I had about Raw last week have totally vanished. This feels way different, and it's going to be interesting seeing how this all plays out.
By the way, I want to say hi to my one little fan out there. Hello, Smokey, my cat.
I think WCW just broke the record for most balloons and confetti at a pro wrestling show. We have got Vince Russo, Cruiserweight Champion Chris Candido along with Tommy, US Champion Scott Steiner, and we've also got Tag Team Champions Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell in the ring. There's a Riot Squad also standing around the perimeter of the ring. The New Blood dominated Spring Stampede, and Russo says all these people in Rockford are annoyed because Vince Russo is better than them. Vinny Rue announces the new champions of WCW standing in the ring. He says one championship got away from the New Blood last night, and that was the hardcore title. But tonight, Terry Funk's going to lose that championship because, according to Russo, Funk's not a millionaire and he's not New Blood. He's just too damn old. Russo then takes jabs at Jim Ross. He calls Jim a crotchety old man who tried to keep the current WCW champion down before telling JR directly to kiss his ass. My. And Vince then welcomes that new champion down to the ring. Jeff Jarrett, ladies and gents. What are we thinking? Does that world belt look good around Jarrett's waist? Yeah. Jeff gets in the ring, and he too tells Jim Ross to kiss his backside, so good old JR's catching a lot of strays tonight on Nitro. Jarrett then sets out the Slamboree 2000 main event. Double J said he wanted to be in the Ready to Rumble 2 movie, but he didn't get an invite. So at the pay-per-view, the 3-tiered cage that was used in the movie is going to get featured in the main event. It's going to be Jeff Jarrett versus Diamond Dallas Page, and Jeff says he's going to slap DDP's nuts from the bottom of the cage all the way to the top. Honestly, that is something I'd pay to see. Russo then invites Eric Bischoff to come down to the ring, and Eazy-E comes out with Kimberly Page. Kimberly joined the New Blood last night at the pay-per-view for those who didn't check out the show. Bischoff says he's going to torture Page, but he's going to do it in a manner that, according to Dallas's wife, Page could never do. He's going to make it last a long time. Kim takes the mic. She apologizes for hitting Dallas with the guitar, but she explains she did it because for the past 11 years, it's all been about DD me while Kimberly played second fiddle. Kim's tired of turning down opportunities because of her husband, so from this point on, she's looking after herself. Her biggest opportunity standing right next to her in the ring at this very moment. And we then cut over to DDP, who's pulled up at the arena and he's getting greeted by a few security guards. Dallas takes them all out before heading into the building, and he ends up getting inside the ring where he tries to fight the New Blood all on his own. Turns out the Riot Squad who were standing around the ring are actually members of the Millionaires Club, and the surprise gets totally ruined seeing his Lex took his helmet off way too early. Sting, Lex, Ric Flair and Dallas clear the ring out. The New Blood's been completely embarrassed, and backstage Bischoff blames it on Booker T and a few other guys including Chavo and the legendary Jerry Flynn. Booker gets the worst of it here. Apparently all these guys were meant to make sure the Millionaires Club didn't get near the ring, and Eric tells Book that he's on very thin ice. When the boys leave the office, the security guys come in to tell Eric that he's now on his own. The boys don't want to get their asses kicked by a bunch of wrestlers again. Just as Eric's security leaves, Eazy-E gets a phone call. It's Hulk Hogan, and Hulk says he's coming after Bischoff in about 5 minutes' time. Triple H gives Earl Hebner a hard time next on Raw. On Nitro, we've got Curt Hennig versus Shawn Stasiak. So Hunter drags Hebner from the locker room all the way down to the ring while Mike Chioda gets brought down by Shane McMahon. Shane then takes a hold of Hebner inside the ropes, and Triple H says Earl just screwed him over. Earl jobbed out the WWF champion, and the senior referee ripped the game off. Hunter says Mike Chioda was the match official. He then shows a replay of the fast count on the Titantron, and Triple H wants Chioda to confirm that Earl Hebner screwed him over. Chioda has no choice. He says yes, it was a fast count, and yes, Earl screwed Triple H over. So Hunter thanks Mike for his time before sending him back up the ramp. Turning his attention back to Earl, Hunter says he wants the match decision reversed. That Jericho vs Triple H match never happened, and Hunter wants no record of the bout ever taking place. The WWF title must come back to the game, and if Earl says no, well, Earl's going to be pretty much fucked, isn't he? Earl says he's not going to do it and the crowd lose their minds, but he has second thoughts when Shane grabs him again. The referee then totally forgets his lines and both Triple H and Shane have to feed him every single sentence while trying to make it look not too obvious. Listen to the promo with headphones on and you can hear Hunter and Shane say each and every word that comes out of Earl's mouth. Anyway, Earl says he will reverse the decision as long as he doesn't get touched again for as long as he remains a WWF referee. That means Shane, Stephanie, Triple H and anyone else can't hurt Earl no matter what happens. Hunter agrees. The referee says the decision has indeed been reversed. So Triple H sends Earl back up the ramp to get his WWF title back and Jericho comes out looking incredibly disappointed. He says if everyone has to believe that he didn't really beat Triple H tonight and if the match never actually happened, then it must be also untrue that Stephanie slept with half the boys in the locker room. Jericho relinquishes the championship, Earl Hebner retrieves it, and it's not enough for Earl to hand the belt back over to Triple H. The game wants Hebner to put the title around his waist. Once Hunter's got the belt, he then goes ahead and fires Earl. Saw that coming a mile off. And it all ends with the referee getting beaten down before Hunter hits him with a pedigree. Absolute top tier heel work, and I know to this very day people still seem pissed off about Jericho not getting the championship, but this did a lot to make Hunter an even bigger heel than before, and besides, Jericho would have his time in the spotlight very soon. A bit later on, Linda McMahon seen heading into the arena, so we're not done with these dastardly McMahons just yet. Over on Nitro, Shawn Stasiak's calling himself the perfect one. He believes he's just as perfect as Curt Hennig, if not more so. The highlight of this match was Hennig throwing water all over Mark Madden for absolutely no reason whatsoever, and it ended with a referee bump just before Curt pulled off a perfect plex. Curt released his follow-up cover, and look, Stasiak pulls out brass knucks that actually look like brass knucks, so we'll call them brass knucks. A first for WCW in Reliving the War. Curt gets knocked out, Shawn pulls off his crop-looking finisher named the Perfect Plant, and Mr. Gimmick Infringement defeats Curt Hennig live on Nitro. Miss Hancock came out to take notes during this match, and here's what she wrote in her legal pad. Don't ask how much I paid for this on eBay. Eddie Guerrero wants to study for his GED exam, but China says, wrestle now, study later. Latino Heat and Essa Rios are going to battle the Hardy Boys next on Raw, while on Nitro, Hulk Hogan cuts a promo. Eddie and Essa worked very well together indeed, and China also played a key role in helping out her new man and his new tag team partner. Not only did she do some damage to Jeff on the outside, but she also stopped him from performing a Swanton Bomb while making sure he won't be having any super happy fun times with his favourite hooker after Raw tonight. Eddie and Essa continued to show off more impressive double team moves, and it makes you wonder how these two could have fared if they did become a full-time tag team. But that was never on the cards, seeing as Lita ended up accidentally hitting Eddie with a moonsault. Why Eddie didn't get out of the way is anyone's guess. Matt kicks his future faithful girlfriend out of the ring. Guerrero takes a twist of fate. The Hardy Boys score the win, and China's not happy. So unhappy is the ninth wonder of the world that she delivers a powerbomb to Essa Rios before leaving the ring. Poor Eddie feels like he's let his mamacita down, and all he can do is clutch her leg and beg for forgiveness. Linda's got her own office backstage, and she gets a visit from Shane O'Mac. Shane thought his mom was in Europe doing some business with Vince, but Linda flew back because she's got a very important announcement to make. Shane can't get any information out of Linda, but the announcement does involve The Rock. The Boy Wonder reports back to Stephanie and Hunter. He's told to get back out there and find out exactly what Linda's going to announce, but the only further information Linda gives away is that it also concerns the Backlash pay-per-view. On Nitro, Hulk Hogan arrives to the arena looking like I don't even know anymore. The cops say they can't let Hogan in before randomly changing their minds and saying, actually, go ahead, big lad, work away. So Wood from the Hood gets in the arena, he walks down the ramp, and he ends up throwing Stasiak out of the ring. After a commercial break, Hulk says he wants to clear a few things up. He says the Hulkamaniacs still love him, but the pro wrestling critics say Hogan's getting too old. Hulk argues this fact by saying all the boys in the back are getting older too, day by day. But I don't know, Hulk. I think you might have a bit of a head start, you know what I mean? He also says he hasn't lost a step, he's only lost half a step, and Hogan claims he still has a spot in wrestling where he can lead by example. Yeah, because everyone should just follow Hulk Hogan's lead, brother. You won't ever find yourself getting in trouble. Bischoff and Russo can mess with Hogan's gimmick, they can make him slip on a banana peel and lose matches, but after what happened on last week's Nitro and after what happened at Spring Stampede, Bischoff and Russo need to know that they're now messing with Terry Bollea, and Terry Bollea doesn't like people taking money out of his pocket. This is news to absolutely no one. If anyone wants Hogan's spot, they need to come down and take it. Billy Kidman wanted Hulk's spot, so Hogan's calling young Billy Boy out, and Kidman appears on the big screen where he tells Hulk to come find him if he wants to fight so badly. Hogan leaves the ring, he goes looking for Kidman, and we'll come back to this a bit later on. Something else we're going to see later on is Jeff Jarrett defending his World Championship. He too's getting a little fed up with new blood guys saying they aren't getting any opportunities, so he's going to put an open contract on his locker room door. The first person to sign it's going to get a title shot, and it doesn't take long for someone to put their name on the contract. We're having fun, aren't we guys? I'm really enjoying both Raw and Nitro this week. Next we've got hardcore title matches. On Raw, it's Crotch Holly versus Tazz versus Perry Saturn. On Nitro, it's Terry Funk versus The Wall, brother. Wall takes 3 chair shots to the head in the ring, 4 across the back on the outside. Terry then delivers a moonsault from the top turnbuckle to the floor, and our boy didn't get it at all, unfortunately. This allows the Wall to hit Terry with a few chair shots, and Terry gets a taste of his own medicine when he takes a piledriver on the announce table. And our match ends with both guys fighting on the rampway before arriving at the side of the entrance stage. Terry has some choice words for the Wall after taking a chair shot across the back. The hardcore champ swings a few wild punches, but it looks like he's absolutely spent. The Wall then uses one of the Nitro Girls' cages to do some severe damage to Terry's head and neck, but then someone pushes a stack of tables and they all fall on top of the Wall. This allows Terry to win the match, so the hardcore title stays put and it doesn't go to the New Blood. Backstage, Chronic pay Vince Russo a little visit. Apparently, Vince promised these guys a title opportunity tonight on Nitro, but Russo goes back on his word. He says tonight isn't a good night while promising to give Adams and Clark their title shot at a later date, and even though the boys aren't happy, they allow Vince to leave the office. DDP then announces he's going to face Mike Awesome tonight while warning Eric Bischoff about invading his personal life. Dallas hopes Hulk Hogan doesn't get the Eric first because Paige also wants a piece of Eazy-E. Back in the arena, we see a few familiar faces. Bruce MacArthur, owner of the Chicago Blackhawks, who aligned himself with Ric Flair during past episodes of Nitro, and Bob Probert is here too. He also appeared with Ric Flair on Nitro back in 1997. The WWF's hardcore match was pretty uneventful, but look at this. Tazz has the ECW Championship and the WWF are showing the belt on their TV show. I've covered all this in a previous video, but the short of it is, Mike Awesome, a WCW superstar, wrestled Tazz, a WWF superstar, for the ECW Championship in order to get the belt away from Mike. The WWF and ECW had a good relationship, so the belt was allowed to get shown on TV. Bischoff allowed Mike to attend the ECW show to drop the belt. And later this week on SmackDown, Triple H would beat Tazz in a main event match just to prove a point, not even joking. Again, check out that video I already put together if you want to learn more. This hardcore title match ended up getting changed to a 4-way match when Hardcore Holly brought his own referee. Saturn got put in a Tazz mission, Crash broke it up with a bacon tray shot, Hardcore hit Perry with a Falcon Arrow, but it was Crash who stole the pinfall win. It's kinda nuts that the ECW champion jobbed out in a hardcore match mere days after competing in one of the most unique championship matches in pro wrestling history. Linda McMahon delivers her Backlash announcement next on Raw. On Nitro, the Mamalukes are scheduled to take on the Harris Brothers. Chronic attacked Ron and Heavy D backstage, so I guess the Harris Brothers are no longer Russo's flavour of the month, thank God. The two Bryans then make their way down to the ring. The Mamalukes get absolutely annihilated, which is kind of a shame seeing as their work in WCW recently has been alright, but I guess they too have to make room for this new tag team. Adams grabs a microphone to send Vince Russo a warning. If Russo keeps dragging his feet and if he doesn't make good on his promise, then Vince Russo's gonna feel chronic pain. He'll take a chronic beating and he'll be living in a chronic nightmare. Both Adams and Clark have worked for Vince Russo before, and Vince knows these two are not to be messed with. On Raw, Linda McMahon confirms that The Rock will be getting a shot at Triple H's WWF Championship at Backlash. However, the deck's already stacked against the People's Champion. Vince is going to be in Hunter's corner. Stephanie and Shane will probably lurk around the ringside area too. So Linda's putting someone in The Rock's corner for this main event match. It's not Mick Foley. Foley's happily retired at home. And before Linda makes the big announcement, she builds up quite a lot of anticipation as the crowd get more and more excited. The announcement is then made. The guy standing in The Rock's corner is none other
than Stone Cold Steve Austin!
My God. Hunter, Steph and Shane march down to the ring. Stephanie tells her mom that she shouldn't be sticking her nose in the business she knows nothing about. If Linda doesn't change her mind, then young Steph's going to smack the shit out of her mom again. And Linda says no, Austin will be at Backlash in a few weeks' time. So Stephanie tries to make good on her promise.
Get her!
Little did Stephanie know that her mom's a black belt at the motherfuck dojo. Dojo training or not, Triple H wants to pedigree his mother-in-law. Shane dives on Hunter while defending his mother. Linda gets out of the ring. Stephanie dishes out more slaps to both her husband and her brother. And this family scuffle comes to an end when The Rock shows up on the entranceway. Rock says these two jabronis are playing Ali and Frazier while the referee's being played by a prostitute in training. He was actually looking forward to Backlash even with the odds being firmly stacked against him, but now a great situation's become even better. Triple H has Mr. McMahon, The Rock has Austin 316. Rock and Austin may have a little history, but they both agree that Triple H is the biggest asshole walking God's green earth. So things aren't looking too good for the game right now. Backstage, Michael Cole wants to know how Triple H feels about the night so far, and Hunter gets angry when Michael brings up the Jericho match. That match, according to Hunter, never happened. And speaking of Jericho, Hunter's booking Y2J and the Acolytes in a Raw main event match against X-Pac, Road Dogg, and Triple H himself. The Dudleys take on Al Snow and Blackman next on Raw, plus we've got Dean Malenko versus Scotty 2 Hotty in a light heavyweight title match. On Nitro, Vampiro cuts a promo. Vamp gets in the ring and he says Sting knows nothing about pain. Only the Stinger knows what happened when Vampiro pulled him under the ring at Spring Stampede, but mate, I'd hazard a guess and say he got beaten up a little by Vampiro. Call me crazy, but I think that's what happened. Vampiro heard Sting's screams, he saw, tasted and felt Sting's blood. He could smell the fear under the ring, but that was last night. Spring Stampede was just a little taste because in 3 weeks' time, at Slamboree, Vampiro's gonna devour the icon. The lights dim down, Seek and Destroy plays in the arena, and oh shit, you see that? Quite the landing there from the icon, that would have scared the crap out of me. Sting attacks Vampiro with his baseball bat. He brings him to the corner and he says Vampiro looks like someone just walked over his grave. Sting feels like conducting, and I quote, some romping, stomping graveyard destruction. Yeah. And Sting lays a beating in the Vampiro while stopping every now and then to grab the microphone. Seeing as Vampiro said Sting knows nothing about pain, the icon brings a whole lot of it to Vampy Balls. Sting says he learned from the best, he learned from Ric Flair, he learned from the total package. And as for Vampiro, well, this kid's gonna grow up real quick in WCW if he keeps acting like an idiot. Vampiro takes the Scorpion Death Drop. Sting says WCW runs through his veins and WCW is Sting's turf. Backstage, Jarrett isn't happy with who signed the main event match contract. He tells Russo to go and speak to whoever this is and get the match changed, but it's no good. Russo tells Jarrett his opponent isn't going to change his mind and he wants his opportunity at the Gold tonight. But Russo also said Jeff's supposed to be the world champion, so Double J needs to take care of business in our Nitro main event. On Raw, the Dudleys had Snow and Blackman beat after Al took a 3D at the 1 minute mark. TNA then showed up, Tazz pulled off his elbow drop on Devon. The ref's distracted by Trish, but he turns around way too early and he clearly sees Tazz standing in the ring. Still, Snow ends up winning via pinfall. Terrible timing here from our match official. After the bout, Bubba tries once again to put Trish through a table, but a big sloppy kiss quickly changes his mind. Trish is able to escape while Bubba remains hypnotized after the lip lock, and Devon tells his big Gunner tag team partner to catch a grip. Scotty 2 Hotty then danced down to the ring for a shot at the Light Heavyweight Championship. Malenko took a jumping back elbow at the opening bell, but he answered with a hard clothesline and a back suplex. A vertical suplex from Dean leads to Scotty taking a back elbow, but when Dean runs out of the corner, Mr. 2 Hotty pulls off a power slam. A facebuster puts Malenko in place for the WORM, but the move seems to be pretty ineffective as Dean comes back with a double underhook powerbomb followed by the Texas Cloverleaf. In any other match this would be over, but Scotty makes it to the ropes. It ends with Scotty taking a superplex, but he manages to hook Dino Machino's legs for the cover. Scotty gets the 1, 2, 3, and we've got a new light heavyweight champion on Raw. Scotty didn't even need a fast count to win the championship either. We see some breakdancing in the ring as the new champion celebrates his victory. Booker T better watch out. Kurt Angle's been out and about preaching about celibacy and not giving in to dirty temptations. He stopped a couple from kissing while telling a lady if she wants to suck on something, she should suck on a lollipop. And while preaching to a few college students, he held up a sign that said, "It feels great when you wait." Big Show, meanwhile, handed out free protection to anyone who needed it, and no, not the kind of protection the APA offer. The big man's got himself an Intercontinental title shot next against Chris Benoit, while Nitro presents Mike Awesome vs Diamond Dallas Page. Complete domination from the Big Show right here. The press slam Big Show pulled off just after the opening bell was seriously impressive, and from here the challenger just absorbed everything Benoit threw at him, including those knife-edge chops. The punishment continued on the outside, though Chris did get a break after throwing his opponent into the ring steps. The break didn't last long at all though. Back in the ring, Big Show performs a standing sidekick. He then signals for the chokeslam, and our match ends with a low blow from the IC champion. Don't you just hate it when that happens? After the bell, Kurt Angle runs down to do even more damage to Big Show's wee show, but it's okay because Big Show was wearing protection. Over on Nitro, DDP tried to start his match off very aggressively, but Awesome's no pushover. A middle rope back elbow put Page on the canvas, and this gets followed up with a splash. Jumping DDT from Page, hard clothesline from Awesome, and I should mention here too that there was no mention of the Awesome vs Tazz match at all on Nitro tonight. We see a springboard clothesline from Mike to the outside that looked phenomenal, though the bump he took at the guardrail seconds later did not. Dallas delivers a few chair shots here, and I'm guessing this is an ODQ match, but that chair gets punched out of DDP's hands and Page falls out of the ring for a second time. Chris Kanyon then shows up and the referee calls for the bell. Chair shots were fine, interference was not. Chris ends up taking a German suplex and Mike sets up a table seconds later. We think Kanyon's gonna get powerbombed, but the Wolfpack theme plays in the arena and Big Sexy's entrance video plays on the screen. Awesome waits for Kevin to show up. Kev appears from behind to launch an attack. In the end, it's Mike who takes a jackknife through the furniture, and so for 2 nights in a row, Kevin Nash has gotten the better of Mike Awesome. For those wondering, Kevin Nash is still not fully healed. We won't see him in action again for another few weeks. Hulk Hogan still running around looking for Billy Kidman. This is just like last week. Something else that's just like last week is Tank Abbott coming out to pick a fight with Bill Goldberg. Again, Bill isn't here, so Abbott's going to find an innocent bystander to beat up. The commentators look incredibly worried, but fear not fellas, Tank's going to go after Bruce McArthur instead. That is, if Tank can actually get Bruce into the ring, because this looks like a bit of a struggle. Probird and WCW's useless security team run in to save McArthur. Tank ends up leaving after a job not so well done. And WCW get prepared for their next match. Shane Douglas versus the Total Package. On Raw, we've got Edge and Christian versus Bill Buchanan and the Big Boss Man. It's good to see Edge and Christian in a match that's not featured in the first 30 minutes of Raw, but I thought the WWF were going to start pushing the tag champs a bit more as bad guys. Having them wrestle 2 other heels isn't a good little piece of business, you know? Edge and Christian make easy work of bullshit Buchanan in the early going. The boss man has to lend his partner a hand, and Bull's finally able to go on offense with his impressive axe kick. Bossman tags in for some hard time double team offense, and quick tags keep Bull and Bossman in control while Christian needs to tag out. The champs are definitely fighting this one as babyfaces. The break comes after a missile dropkick. Edge comes in and he lights up both of his opponents. He manages the spear Bossman, but Bull breaks the cover with a top rope leg drop, and Bossman then gets his team disqualified after shoving the referee, for God's sake. Kane's pyro goes off. The Big Red Machine wants some revenge after what happened last week. That left hand of his still hasn't fully healed up, but that doesn't stop him from using his right hand for chokeslamming Big Bill Buchanan. Edge and Christian head back to the locker room. The Road Dogg tells the boys to shine the belts up for D-Generation X. The champs foolishly walk past the Roadie and X-Pac, and naturally they get jumped from behind. I legitimately forgot Edge and Christian were feuding with DX, so I guess that heel turn's just gonna have to wait. On Nitro, this Douglas vs Luger match came about when Douglas challenged Lex during a backstage interview. During the interview, Shane confirmed that he's going to face Ric Flair at Slamboree, while Buff's going to take on the Total Package. Shane also wanted to fight Lex tonight. Luger said he'd fight Shane under one condition. If Vince Russo interfered, then Team Package would get the tag team belts. Russo did not show up during the bout, though midway through, Buff Bagwell came out to offer his tag team partner some moral support. There's a Sting fan in the audience, and we're led to believe that this is Russo. Shane thought it was Russo too, seeing as he gave him a high five. But then the fan attacked Shane with his baseball bat before stepping inside the ring. As Lex performs a power slam, we find out that it's Ric Flair wearing the Sting mask, and the referee throws the match out before Vince Russo shows up. Russo pulls Shane out of the ring. The tag champs want to know where Russo was when they needed him, but I'm guessing they totally forgot that they'd lose the tag team belts if Russo showed up at any point during the match. Terry Bollea has found Billy Kidman. Young Billy's taking a beating in what looks like the lower level of the arena, but fear not, here comes Torrie Wilson with a 2x4. Hogan no-sells it, nothing out of the ordinary here, and he also grabs Torrie by the throat before going to punch her lights out. That's not a very babyface thing to do, Mr. Bollea. Thankfully, Kidman stops this moment of madness and Hogan goes on defense. It doesn't take long though for Hulkamania to run wild and Kidman's in a lot of trouble. Bischoff watches on as Kidman gets destroyed by wood from the hood, and the beatdown ends with Kidman getting pooed in a dumpster. Bischoff gets in the white Hummer. He wants to run Hulk down, but he can't start the engine. So he gets out of the vehicle, he runs away, and Hogan gets in the Hummer where he naturally starts the engine on his first try. He rams the dumpster a few times while Mark Madden says Billy Kidman could be dead. For some reason, I really doubt that, but boy, we've had a lot of people driving this white Hummer now, haven't we? Sid Vicious, a fake Sting, Eric Bischoff, Hulk Hogan. Put the white Hummer in the Hall of Fame already. It deserves it. Also, can we appreciate the graffiti on this dumpster? No way now. Caffeine Rush. Even if they spell caffeine correctly, why would you spray paint that on a dumpster? Cue the WCW NWO Revenge music because it's now time for our main events. Y2J and the Acolytes versus D-Generation X on Raw, Jeff Jarrett versus a mystery opponent on Nitro. Michael Cole stirs the pot by saying DX could have paid for the APA services tonight, but the boys confirm there's no money involved. The Acolytes are standing beside Chris Jericho out of the goodness of their hearts. The match begins with Triple H taking a big boot from Bradshaw before Y2J tags in. Hunter goes for the pedigree immediately, but he ends up taking a clothesline from hell instead. Shane McMahon gets chased away by the APA while Jericho applies the walls on Hunter. X-Pac gets in the ring to break it up. The game delivers some corner offense to Jericho, but a flying forearm from Chris allows the Ayatollah to tag out. Farouk's the legal man, but Bradshaw's the star of the show here. He kicks Road Dogg away while holding X-Pac in position for the fall-away slam. The ref tries to get Bradshaw out of the ring, which allows Triple H to attack Farouk on the outside. Though back in the ring, Ron avoids a Road Dogg Dancy punch and the DOGG takes a spinebuster. The ref then misses Farouk's tag to Bradshaw. Some absolutely atrocious officiating tonight on Raw, guys. And so D-Generation X take great delight in breaking the rules while rubbing their opponent's face in it. What follows is DX cutting the ring off and not giving Farouk the opportunity to tag out. Farouk desperately needs a break and he gets it after a sweet looking backbreaker to X-Pac. Jericho gets the tag, he's all fired up as he goes to work on DX. He delivers a lion salt to Triple H and it looks like Jericho's about to pin the champion one more time. X-Pac breaks the cover, he performs an X-Factor. The Acolytes decide to chase Waltman and Road Dogg up the ramp, leaving Hunter all alone with Chris Jericho. Edge and Christian help the Acolytes beat up X-Pac and Road Dogg, but then, when Bradshaw and Farouk return to ringside, Bossman and Bill Buchanan beat up the APA. You know what's going to happen here. Hunter's going to get his win back, and he does so right after a pedigree. Jericho loses via pinfall, and Y2J's little taste of main event glory's been squashed by the WWF champion. Annoying? Yeah, kinda. But as mentioned earlier, it all goes a long way in making Triple H look like an absolute bastard heel. Right, who's the mystery man who wants a shot at Double J's World Championship? For all you freaks out there, Big Papa pumps your hookup. It's New Blood versus New Blood. The US champion's got himself a shot at the World Championship, and believe me, I've wanted to see Scotty in the main events for a long time now. Hopefully this continues. The match, unfortunately, is very brief. Jeff gets pummeled in the corner before taking a Steiner line, an elbow drop and a press slam. The old boot in the corner allows Double J to go on offense for a little while, and he uses this time to hit a double axe handle and a flying crossbody. Scotty goes down after a dropkick, but Steiner fights back by putting Jeff in the tree of woe before choking him out a little. Steiner with a belly to belly, Jarrett with a sleeper hold. Scott gets out with a low blow before applying the Steiner recliner, but unfortunately our match ends when Booker T hits the ring to hit Scott with an axe kick. Clearly, Booker's following orders. It doesn't look like he wanted to interfere in this match at all, but that's how it ends, folks, and yeah, a letdown for sure. Nitro isn't over just yet though. Hulk Hogan's still looking for Eric Bischoff, and he finds him in a dressing room that's been converted into a makeshift office. Terry chases Bischoff out of the room, the two head down the ramp, and when they get in the ring, Bischoff takes a swift kick to the nuts. Vince Russo appears with his baseball bat, but so does Bret Hart. The Hitman's got a chair, he shoves Russo out of the way, he gets in the ring, and here's how Nitro ends, ladies and gents. Now, we're supposed to be left guessing who Bret swung for, but I think it's pretty obvious. The camera faded out a bit too late, or Bret swung the chair a bit too early. But yeah, all will be revealed next week. Dudes, I'm enjoying this new Nitro so far. As mentioned last week, I know it won't last forever, but both last week and this week's shows were pretty entertaining. Not a single good match, mind you, but strangely still fun to watch. That being said, Raw wins Reliving the War this week. Jericho winning the WWF title only to get it taken away from him was a real memorable Raw moment, and even though Chris didn't leave the show with the gold, it still elevates him in the eyes of sympathetic fans. I'm also happy to see Raw completely change things up, because last week I was really worried that we were going to see the same build-up we saw during WrestleMania season. So they totally proved me wrong, and they really did surprise us here with this week's show. Raw's on 130 points, Nitro's on 79, and we've got 22 ties on the board. In the TV ratings, Raw drew a 6.7, Nitro drew a 2.5. An alarming number for WCW, seeing as it's week 2 of the new regime, plus it's one night after a WCW pay-per-view. Next week on Raw, we'll hear what Vince McMahon thinks about Stone Cold Steve Austin making his WWF return. Chris Jericho has some unfinished business with Triple H. Chyna and Eddie Guerrero are dressed to impress, while Trish Stratus talks about Wood. Don't fucking say you don't remember this, because I know you do. On Nitro, Billy Kidman teams up with Mike Awesome for a match against Hulk Hogan, so I guess Kidman isn't dead. Chronic have their first tag team match on Nitro, Kimberly has some bad news for Diamond Dallas Page, and David Arquette's in the building. Yeah, we're coming up to that time, ladies and gents, and I will cover that episode of Thunder very soon too. Thanks for coming over, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this week's shows as much as I did. Please take care.